Okay, so we've initiated the process of starting our book, and we've landed on step 1 of the print book details page, which is the actual details. If you look up here, you can see where you are in this little progress meter. So, and when you've gotten all the way to publish, you can actually skip back to these steps and make changes and do whatever you need to do. First up, I want to show you the expand shared metadata link that's up here in the top right corner, because from here we can see all the stuff that we've set up for this book already, right? So we've got our cover. You can download the full-size cover from here, just like you could on the previous step, by the way. You see your series name, your volume number, the language, all the information you need, including your keywords and your bisect subjects. This is useful if you need to enter this information somewhere else. It's here for you to grab at kind of a glance. So very useful tool, but even more useful if you need to make changes. You can click this edit shared metadata, and this is nearly identical to the previous step where we actually set the book up for the first time. But rather than say start an ebook or start a print book, here you would just submit your changes or cancel them. So, but from this page, you can not only download the cover, but if you needed to update the cover, you could do it from right here. Browse to wherever it is, put a new cover up, change the title, change the series, change your publisher, change your author. Everything can change. If you decide you need to add more search terms or you need new categories, you can do all that from here. And once you've made those changes, you'd scroll down here and you'd hit submit, and it would bring you right back to here. So that is a handy thing to know about, and we're going to hide that for now. So if we already had an ebook, this little area here would not be grayed out as it is now. So you could use your ebook file and we would convert it for you into a print-ready manuscript and run it right through the process for you. And the steps from here would be essentially the same, but you would be starting with your ebook file. If we hover over this guy, though, it gives you some information about dates, the timestamps. This will make more sense in a moment, but the timestamp will appear below here for when your manuscript has been uploaded. So if you had uploaded your ebook, the timestamp for the ebook file would be right here. Now we don't have that yet, so we're going to go over here, or we don't have that at all actually, and I'm going to cancel out of that, but we're going to say I want to upload my own print interior. Now down here are the formats we support. So we support these are Microsoft Word formats, .doc and .docx. These are some other formats you can use, ODT, RTF, and PDF. We'll talk about some of those in a bit, but for now, we're going to click Browse, and we're going to go to where our manuscript lives. So there's a couple ways to do this. As we said, you can upload a Word document, which we have here, but we also have an interior file that is pre-formatted. And I could upload this right now, but I'm going to do that in another video later. So for now, we're going to start with just our manuscript. We've written our book in whatever we prefer, Scrivener, Google Docs, any Office software. Microsoft Office is especially popular. We have, however we wrote the book, we've spit it out here as a docx file, which you can see if I had the information. Here it is, docx. So that tells us that that's a Microsoft Word document. We're going to choose that one. Let's hit open. And now that we've uploaded that docx file, this little area got updated for us. It says our file last uploaded on March 19th, 2020 at 10:36 a.m. And if you look over here in the right-hand corner, that's exactly the time and date of today. Weird. But now this will make a little more sense. As we upload another document, this would update as well. If you find that for whatever reason your manuscript has somehow been rendered unusable. Maybe it got a file corrupted, maybe it got lost, maybe you overwrote it with something, and you need access to your original file. You can come right here and download it from here. So that is a sort of D2D hack in that you can use us to store your clean manuscript. And then we are secure, we're backed up, no one can get into this to steal your manuscript or anything, so you're really well covered. So just a little bit of a tip, you can use this to as sort of off-site storage. Now that we've got our manuscript up, the next step here is to set our release date. Now if we hover over this guy, it says select the official publication date for this book. Now it's currently set for today, which means that as soon as we publish it, it would go live, or it would go into the publishing process today. It usually takes a few days for it to actually go live on storefronts, but this would be the publication date. But we actually want to set up a pre-order for this book. So let's go over here and let's hit this arrow, and I want to release this book on May 31st. That's a couple of months in the future, and that's going to give us a nice opportunity to make sure everything is right, make sure we've got everything settled before we, before the book releases. Now, the next step is our print book description. So if we hover over this, it will tell us that a sales description of your book. This is a sales description of your book. This description will appear along with the cover image on every vendor's sales page. We recommend including the series and volume number as well as the book's approximate length. Now, you can actually put anything you want in this field. It is typable. You've got some formatting tools we'll talk about in just a second. But I've gone ahead and I've got some, this is called Greeking. I've already got some copy written, so I'm going to go ahead and paste that in from outside. It's probably a good idea to have your book description in a Word document or something where you can do exactly this. But because I wanted to show you the formatting tools, we're gonna make a few changes here. So first of all, I'm going to turn this into a header. So I'm going to put that up top, and I'm going to highlight it, and I'm going to make it bold. And you can see that formatting. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say, okay, I want to emphasize this first line. So I'll highlight that, and I'm going to make that italics. You can see that in progress as well. So this is all great, but once, if I'm writing a nonfiction book, which this is, now typically you wouldn't do this next step in fiction, so just bear that in mind. But if you are publishing a nonfiction book, there are sometimes justifiable reasons for having a bullet list in the book. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this so that I can reuse it just for the example. But hit your bullet list option of choice, and we will create that bullet list for you. I like to take the little extra space out of there. Now this is if I had my book description written, I might already have this in a bullet list, and sometimes that'll translate over. But just in case it doesn't, you know that these are up here. Now you can choose between a standard bullet list with an actual little round bullet, or you can make this a numbered list. So that's up to you and whatever works for you. But what you would do is write your bullets one after the other on this section. Now, for almost all books, we recommend having a call to action at the end of this guy. So I'm just going to put one in here, just a standard one, and I'm going to go ahead and bold that too. And you could do this in all caps, by the way. So if you want to get crazy with it, I'll do that. There we go. Oh, nope, not Tatey. Today. All right. So let's go ahead and highlight that. And, well, actually, it's already bolded, so we're good. Now, we had recommended that you include your series and volume number. That's not a bad plan. So since we've got it, I'm going to go ahead and make that a capital. Since we know it, we're going to say, what is the series? Well, maybe I've forgotten, right? So I'm going to go up here. This is where this comes in handy. Another way this comes in handy. We can see our series and volume number. So this is where you can get that if you need it. So we know it's volume 2. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to paste that. And I'm going to say, well, I'll put book 2. No, I need to turn off caps. And type correctly. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and do some formatting there. And there we go. You've got your title or the header for your book description if you need one of those. And again, you could make this all caps if you wanted. A lot of people do that. There's no other real formatting here, but this is pretty powerful all on its own and pretty useful. So once you've got that all set up, you can move to the next section. So now that we've done our book description, we down here we have a few options, and these are really cool. A lot of this is some pretty innovative stuff, and we're going to go through all of this. So first up is add non-author contributors. So if we hover over this, give credit to the non-authors who helped make this book. Non-author contributors are not added to draft-to-digital generated copyright pages. If you have a copyright page of your own, you can put anything you want there. Really, there are some restrictions, but this section would let you add, say, your editor, your cover designer, your Aunt Sally, whoever was important to you in the development of this book. But fair warning, most retailers do not include this. It's for your benefit, but it is completely optional. And there's a good chance that none of this will show up anywhere. Just be aware of that. If you want to thank these people for their help, there is a section, this dedication section, which we will talk about in a moment. But this is where you would add non-author contributors. So getting into these columns here, these little blocks. So first, this is all metadata stuff, right? And it's also part of the layout of your book. It'll be included in the book itself. So you are adding content to your book when you select these. So add introductory pages, title page. Let's hover over that. So if your book does not already contain a title page, Draft2Digital can generate one for you. Using the information you provided on the edit book form, a title page is required for any books published to Apple Books. So I don't have a title page in the Microsoft Word manuscript that we uploaded, so I'm going to go ahead and include that. And then let's go on to the next step. Copyright page is very similar. If your book does not already contain a copyright page, Draft2Digital can generate one for you using the information provided on the edit book form. Note, if your book does not contain a copyright page, or if it does contain a copyright page rather, but you want to use our auto-generated one instead, please remove the copyright page from your source document and re-upload it on the edit book page. A copyright page is required for any book published to Apple Books. I believe it's required for practically everyone, but definitely for Apple Books. So we're going to go ahead and include that since I did not include one in my manuscript. And now we get to the dedication. So insert a cleanly formatted message to dedicate your book. So if I click on this box, I get some options here. So I've already written a nice little dedication for my good friend Joe. And or actually Mr. Mann's good friend Joe. This book is dedicated to Joe. Get off my lawn and leave my gold alone. I'm warning you. So I like italicizing these. So you get this formatting option here, and you can highlight various bits and you put in some bold text. So a little bit of formatting. Beyond that, we've got our dedication, and let's move on. So over on this side, we have our promotional pages. And first up is the also by page. Now this is basically a short form way of saying books that are also by this author. If we hover over this little question mark, we see that if you've published other books through Draft2Digital, we can generate a list to recommend those books to your readers. And you can place this list at the beginning of your book, after the copyright page, at the end of the book, or both. So once you click the also by button, now you get also by location, and our options are beginning of book, end of book, or both. So if you put it at the beginning of the book, when the reader opens your book and is flipping through the pages, they can see, your also buys, and that might be a little bit of sort of social proof that you're not a one-hit wonder, or that you are actually dedicated to doing this. They get to see all the books you've written. If you've only got a couple of books, that's not a big deal. Don't worry. It's fine that you only have one or two books. It's just that this shows it's a sort of professional touch. A lot of people are used to seeing the also buy in the front of the book. If you put it at the end of the book, when they finish that last page, it's almost like a call to action to go check out other books. So if you have multiple books, it's really good to go ahead and put that there. If you only have one book, you might not worry about it. I like to do both. If I do both, and that increases the odds, especially since I have multiple books, it increases the odds that people will discover a new book and try that out. So, the gist there is, at the front of the book, it's mostly about we'll say social credibility. At the end of the book, it's more about a call to action. If you have it in both, then you increase the odds of someone seeing it. I like that. Now, new release notifications sign up. It's almost like a mailing list, but unfortunately, we don't give you the mailing list itself because of various spam laws and privacy laws. But what we can do, we shorthand this, by the way, to NRN, new release notification, internally. But if you include this in your book, let's hover over this guy. Add a page that will direct your readers to sign up for a Books to Read managed mailing list that will automatically email readers when you publish any new book. So if they sign up at bookstoread.com from the link that we'll create for you, that will put them on a mailing list, and we will email them every time you release a new book. So that's very helpful. So you can click that guy, and when they go sign up for that, they'll get an email that tells them you've got a new book out every time you release one. So for the teasers are a great way to promote one of your other books. Choose which book, and the cover and description will be added to your book automatically. Note that teasers are locked by type. Ebooks get ebook teasers only. Print books get print teasers only. So basically, if you don't have any other print books, nothing's going to show up here. But we do have a couple, so I'm just going to choose the first book in this series, which is I Just Wanted to Write. Now, if you were doing this as an ebook, whenever you update anything on Draft to Digital, all this stuff will be automatically updated for you. And it is with the print book as well. But of course, it won't update the existing print books. Just be aware of that. but we'll update all this on your behalf whenever a new book is generated. So when you make changes to your also buys, like you add new books, we'll update the also buy automatically for you. And that gets included in the next print book. And same with the teaser. So basically, the teaser will show the reader a sort of thumbnail of the cover for the book you select, plus its description, and it'll provide a link for them to go purchase that. And we use our universal book links for that. And that is something provided by we have a second site called bookstoread.com. And on that site, you get some useful tools. You can every book that you publish gets a universal book link, which you can customize on that site. You can also track some data on that site, so it's very helpful. But the link itself will send readers to everywhere your books are sold online. So and then they can set their preferred store. So if they follow that link, they type that into their browser. They'll get a little landing page where they can select where they want to see, where they want to purchase that book, and then they can set that as their default. So every time they visit a Books to Read link, a universal book link, it'll take them to their preferred store. So that's a great way to get people to buy the next book, at least encourage them to. Now down here, this is the biographical section. So first up, we have About the Author. And if we hover over this, it says we can generate an About the Author page to tuck in the back of your book as long as you've filled in the biography section of the primary author's contributor profile. To learn more about contributor profiles, visit my account and go to Manage Contributors. And About the Publisher has a very similar message. So what we're going to do is we're going to hop on over. I've already got this open, but what you would do is you'd scroll up here and you'd click on My Account, and it would take you to this page. And from here, you've got a whole bunch of options. You're definitely going to want to check these out. There's some useful things in here, including our Refer a Friend program, which you might want to get involved in. But what we're going to focus on right now is our contributor profiles and publishers. So our contributor profiles, we can create a biography and upload an author photo and put a link to the author's website. And for the publisher, we can create, this is the brand names associated with your book, so you can actually create a little profile about your publisher there. So if you've set up, you can set up multiple contributors on this page, multiple authors. If you have pen names, you can set those up. If you want to include your co-authors' profiles on that page, you can do so. So that's a useful spot for that, and it keeps all that for you. And when you update that, we'll actually update it in your books before they go to print, or in your ebooks as well. So back here on the details page, we are looking at this section, and so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on About the Author. I want to include that page, and now we get this little selection box. And I only have one author in here, but if I had multiple authors, they'd all appear here, and I could choose the one I want to be the primary author and have their bio in the book. And we can also add a whole new author profile from this section. So something to keep in mind. And click on Mr. Mann, and now he is the author that will have a bio in the book. Now, I don't have a publisher profile set up, or I would go ahead and include it. So I'm just going to not check that box since it doesn't exist anyway. And the next and final step here is our ISBN. Now, I clicked this earlier, but normally you'd get here and both these radials would be empty. But we're going to hover over this little guy and we'll read what an ISBN is. ISBN is the International Standard Book Number, a unique identifier for published books. You are not required to supply an ISBN for your book, though some sales channels require one for distribution. If you don't have an ISBN, Drafted Digital can supply one at no cost to you. Note, once an ISBN is assigned to your book, that number cannot be changed. ISBNs must be unique to each version of your book. You cannot reuse an ISBN from an ebook or from one supplied to you by another sales channel. So if you have an ISBN that was given to you by another provider, say Amazon or someone else, you cannot use that ISBN for your print book. It's already tagged to a book and linked to a book, and it has to stay with it. Each version of your book, your ebook or your print book, has to have its own unique ISBN. Now you can supply your own ISBN here, and note that ebook and print ISBNs must not match. We try to make that very clear multiple times. Here's where you would drop in your existing ISBN. Now if you hover over this, it says your ISBN cannot be modified once your book has been published, so keep that in mind. Once you've associated an ISBN with this book, that's its ISBN. You're not going to be able to go back and change that. You can delete the book and start over and get a new ISBN, but you cannot change the one on this existing version. So I'm going to go ahead and go back and select the free ISBN since I don't have one to provide. And this will work just fine. What happens is when you select the free ISBN from Drafted Digital, we show up as the publisher of record with certain services in the Library of Congress and things like that, but only those services that manage ISBN. So it's not going to show up on your storefront. You don't have to worry that we're going to be the publisher of record there or anything. It also does not give us any rights to your book. We have no access to your intellectual property rights at all. You don't owe us money. We can't control the book. We can't take it away from you. None of that stuff can happen. It's not even possible. So there's really no downside to getting a free ISBN from us. And in terms of the publisher, whichever publisher you set up on the ebook setup page that we were visiting, or the book setup page that we were visiting earlier, that's going to be your publisher on these sales fronts. So I'm going to go ahead and select this. I'm going to hit save and continue. And now we're going to move on to the next step, step 2, which is the inside, the interior of your book. That's going to be in the next video, so I'll see you there.